Imagine walking into the headquarters of a giant company, asking for a meeting, and offering them a chance to buy your tiny startup for $50 million, and they laugh at you. That's exactly what happened to Netflix in the year 2000 at the time. Netflix was a small, struggling DVD B-mail business. Blockbuster was the undisputed king of movie rentals, with thousands of stores and billions in revenue. When Netflix founders Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph suggested a partnership, or even a buyout, Blockbuster's leaders didn't just say no. According to people in the room, they practically laughed them out of the building. Years later, Blockbuster went bankrupt. Netflix became a global streaming giant, worth tens of billions of dollars. This is the story of how a rejected idea, built on late fees and plastic discs, transformed into a company that changed how the whole world watches movies. And it didn't happen overnight. In the mid-1990s, movie nights looked very different. You'd get in your car, drive to a video store, hope your movie wasn't already rented out. Stand in line, pay, drive home, and then make sure you returned it before the due date. If you were late, you paid a fee. Sometimes, a big one. There's a famous story that Reed Hastings came up with the idea for Netflix after being charged a $40 late fee for returning Apollo 13. Reed himself has said this story is a little too perfect, but it captures something real: frustration. He believed there had to be a better way. So Reed, a mathematician and engineer, teamed up with Mark Randolph, a marketer and entrepreneur. They asked a simple question: what if people could rent movies through the internet and get the discs delivered to their home? At the time it sounded crazy. Streaming didn't exist. Internet speeds were way too slow. But DVDs were new, thin, light, and easy to mail. That was enough. In 1997, Netflix was born. In the beginning, Netflix wasn't a subscription service. It was more like an online video store. You went to their website, chose movies, and paid to rent each one. But business was slow. People were still used to driving to the store, and big chains like Blockbuster dominated the market. Netflix needed a new idea, so they experimented with something bold for the time: a flat-fee subscription model. For a fixed monthly price, you could rent as many DVDs as you wanted, with no due dates and no late fees. You just kept a disc as long as you liked, and when you mailed it back in its red envelope, the next one in your queue was sent automatically. No more driving, no more late fees. This model slowly started to work, but growth was still hard and cash was tight. That's when the founders had their legendary idea. In 2000, facing the huge dominance of Blockbuster, they proposed that partnership. The plan was simple. Blockbuster buys Netflix for around $50 million, and Netflix runs Blockbuster's online brand. It could have been a perfect combination of old and new. But Blockbuster's leadership saw a small, unprofitable DVD website. They declined. For Netflix, the rejection was painful. They needed money, they needed support, and the industry leader had just said no. But that no became a turning point. Instead of giving up, Netflix doubled down. They focused even harder on improving their service, their recommendations, and their customer experience. If no one was going to save them, they would have to save themselves. Over the next few years, something powerful happened. Broadband internet speeds improved. More people got comfortable shopping online. DVDs became standard, and Netflix's red envelopes started appearing in more and more mailboxes. Another key to their success was data. Netflix didn't just send movies. They tracked what people watched, how they rated things, and what they abandoned. This data helped them build one of the most advanced recommendation systems in the world. Instead of you staring at shelves in a store, Netflix gave you a simple list. Because you watched this, you might like that. People loved it. By the mid-2000s, Netflix had millions of subscribers, but the founders saw a new threat and a new opportunity on the horizon. The future wasn't in mailing discs. It was in delivering video instantly over the internet. Launching streaming wasn't easy. The technology was new, and licenses were complicated. But Netflix knew that if they didn't jump into streaming, someone else would. In 2007, they introduced a feature called Watch Now. Instead of waiting for a disc, users could instantly watch a selection of movies on their computer. At first, the library was small and the quality was limited. But the idea was powerful: movies and shows, on demand, anytime, anywhere. This move looked risky. Netflix was effectively competing with its own successful DVD business. But they understood a crucial rule: if you don't disrupt yourself, someone else will do it for you. Over time, Netflix expanded streaming to game consoles, smart TVs, and phones. The DVD service became just one part of a much bigger vision. But there was still one more revolution ahead. Netflix depended on other companies for content, and those companies were starting to see Netflix as a competitor. They could raise prices or pull their shows away. So, Netflix made another bold move. They decided to become a studio themselves. In 2013, Netflix released House of Cards, one of its first major original series. Instead of releasing episodes weekly, they dropped the entire season at once, encouraging binge. It was a massive hit. It proved that Netflix wasn't just a distributor, it could create world-class content. More originals followed: Orange is the New Black, Stranger Things, Narcos. Each success made Netflix less dependent on traditional studios and more in control of its own destiny. The company expanded globally, launching in country after country, localizing languages, and even creating region-specific shows. What started as a tiny mail-order service in California became a worldwide brand in over 190 countries. But the journey wasn't a straight line of success. In 2011, they tried to split the company into Netflix for streaming and Quickster for DVDs. Customers were confused and angry, and subscriber numbers dropped. The company quickly reversed the decision and admitted the mistake. Competition also grew stronger, with giants like Amazon, Apple, and Disney launching their own services. But underneath it all is a pattern: experiment, fail, learn, and adapt. So what can we learn from this journey? First, rejection is not the end of the story. When Blockbuster laughed at Netflix, they used it as fuel. They kept improving, even when the market leaders didn't believe in them. Second, small ideas can become global revolutions. Netflix started with a simple problem: renting movies was annoying. By solving that problem in a new way, they opened the door to much bigger possibilities. Third, they were willing to kill their own success to reach a higher level. DVD mail was working, but they chose to disrupt themselves because they cared more about the future than about short-term comfort. Fourth, data and customer focus mattered. They watched how people actually behaved, not just what they said. That data helped them design better features and decide what shows to create. And finally, they understood that transformation takes time. From 1997 to global dominance took decades. There were years when growth was slow and the future was uncertain. But steady progress, guided by a clear mission, created massive long-term results. Today, when you open Netflix, it's easy to forget the journey behind that red N logo, a journey that started with late fees, rejection, and risk. So the next time someone laughs at your idea, remember this: the world's next giant might be hidden in a small, struggling project right now. And just like Netflix, your story isn't defined by who says no to you, it's defined by what you do after they say it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.